Ontario cities, especially mid-sized cities, are growing. That can be a good thing, but how to find space for new residents is up for debate. Hamilton is currently a case in point. Here to explain, in Steeltown, Teviah Moro. He's a reporter and editor with the Hamilton Spectator. And Teviah, it's great to have you on the line from the Steel City. How are you?
I'm well. Thanks very much for having me here.
Not at all. It's good to have you. What started this debate in Hamilton to begin with?
Well, basically, it's a complex situation that has had many twists and turns, but the Ontario government has asked municipalities in the Greater Golden Horseshoe, which includes Hamilton, places like Peterborough, Niagara Falls, all the way up to Orillia, to plan for growth up to the year 2050. And basically, that means, in Hamilton's case, according to provincial projections, the city can expect another 230,000 people, bringing it to around 800,000 people over 30 years. So the city has been engaged in this complex planning exercise to try and fit all that growth within the city boundary. City planners, however, have said, look, this is a lot to fit into our city boundary. And we think, based on the provincial methodology, which is based on a market-based approach to what people would likely want to have in a type of home, whether it's a single-family home, a condominium, or even a townhouse, or row housing. We think that we're going to need an urban boundary expansion into rural lands of about 1,300 hectares. So that is what is driving the debate, and some anti-sprawl people, as they call themselves, have said, look, that's not good. We need to preserve this farmland, and in the context of a climate emergency, we need to try and prevent any sprawl and to keep carbon emissions down. And of course, this also affects things like infrastructure costs. If you start expanding your city, it's going to cost the city more to pay for things like pipes and roads and fire facilities, for example. However, on the other side of the coin, some of the landowners up there, property developers, are saying, look, we've been sitting on these properties in some cases for decades, and we want to develop them. We believe that Hamilton needs more of these ground-oriented homes, as they call them, to increase the supply, which in turn will alleviate what is an affordability crisis. And that, in a nutshell, is what's happening. City Council has to, at some point soon, sign off on what Hamilton's land needs will be, which will determine whether we have this boundary expansion, or if we hold the urban boundary fixed, as some of the anti-sprawl people are advocating.
Okay, that lays out the issue nicely. But of course, it all depends. Billions of dollars of potential development, billions of dollars of mass transit, lots of important decisions really are all based on whether or not that 230,000 figure over the next 30 years is accurate. How reliable do you think that number is?
It's a good question. We've certainly heard from city officials who have said, look, past population projections, in particular for Hamilton, have been lowballed or highballed. They've been accurate. We've never reached those targets. So this kind of raises the question of the provincial policy, the provincial approach to the whole issue. There has been some criticism that the province has expanded the time horizon to plan for growth to 2050. So that's an extra 10 years than was previously asked of municipalities. So if you combine that expanded time horizon to the fact that the projections could be too high, the argument is that it's manufacturing the need for a boundary expansion.
Gotcha. So essentially, we've got these two visions here, the ambitious density being one, no urban expansion being the other. I presume the Hamilton Spectator has obviously thoroughly looked into this. Has the paper editorially come out on one side or the other on this issue?
I think our editorial stance has been there's been some criticism of expanding the boundary needlessly if we don't have to. You're right. There's a lot of debate about what the right thing to do is here, and I think city councilors are feeling the pressure from the development industry and their agents who have made presentations and sent letters in, but also from this huge swell of concern from a coalition of residents and a coalition of like-minded agencies who have said, look, we can't expand the urban boundary, even if the city is saying this is, a small percentage of the actual rural land that makes up Hamilton. It's still chipping away at valuable farmland and also increasing our carbon emissions.
Do you have any sense right now, Teviah, about which way the majority of members of Hamilton City Council are leaning?
That's a good question. I think there's a variety of opinions. Some councillors have said, look, I'm totally against an urban boundary expansion, but they haven't committed one way to this particular question. Others have said, we're constantly feeling the pressure of individual planning decisions that we make all the time. So, for example, if we have an application to build, say, a 2-story, 6-unit townhomes in an older established neighborhood, there's all this neighborhood pushback. So we're feeling the pressure from constituents on that score as well. Some have indicated they're not going to support this. And as I said, others are kind of non-committal at this point. They want to see all the staff reports in a few weeks and make a decision based on all the information in front of them.
And they will make that decision when?
That is looking like they're going to make. It's looking like they're going to make that decision some point in December, I think, possibly November or December.
Okay. And in our last 30 seconds here, if the provincial government doesn't like the decision that Hamilton City Council comes up with, do they have any options in terms of setting it aside or anything like that?
The indication, the latest indication from an official from the ministry is that it looks like if you're going to pursue the no boundary expansion option, it may not conform with provincial policy and the growth plan. So there definitely is a sense that the province may not approve the city's updated official plan if it is indicating a no boundary expansion option. So what that means in the end, I'm not entirely sure. There's been a suggestion that the province could simply rip up whatever the city chose and come up with its own plan. But at the same time, some planning experts have told me, well, the ministry has already indicated support for this boundary expansion of some 1,300 hectares. So that would likely be the worst case scenario that the city would have to face.
I think what it means is the plot thickens. And we thank you very much, Teviah, for coming on to TVO tonight and laying out the issues for us here on the agenda. Take good care.
Thanks very much.
The Agenda with Steve Paikin is made possible through generous philanthropic contributions from viewers like you. Thank you for supporting TVO's journalism.